Awareness of what, Blair? Well, the awareness of what's going on around you. See, I've worked with thousands of trainers, thousands of entrepreneurs all over the world, over 30 countries around the world. And the big thing is most people are so narrowly focused on what they're doing. It's kind of like they almost have their head in the sand and they're unaware of what's going on around them. The number one, as a Rich Dad advisor on sales, I'm going to tell you your number one question is, who is your customer? Who is your customer? So let me show you here. This is where so be aware. Start from a bigger picture and come down. So if this is you and I, let's look at a few trends. Okay, that is a trend of technology, right? Now, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out technology is probably an even steeper curve than that. Businesses are created and gone within a matter of months. Jobs come and go. People are being laid off. People are being rehired. People need new skills. It's crazy out there. It's crazy. Everybody knows it. They can feel it. They can't quite see it. Okay? So we got that. If you got that, say GT, got that in the chat box. Other thing that's happening is with that technology, the rise of media, the bandwidth of media globally has exploded as well. Example, 2.5 billion people going to YouTube, subscribe to YouTube, going to YouTube, looking for what? Looking for information, looking for entertainment. Why? Because they're looking for something to learn. Now just take a look at this. At the same time, when COVID hit, it exposed a couple of things. Number one, the education system got exposed for what it really is. In other words, our kids got locked down. We couldn't send them to school. Everybody said, oh, our kids, a whole generation is years behind because of the lack of learning. Well, I'm going to show you that it's not the lack of learning, because learning can happen really quickly. In the second section, I'll show you how to impart it quickly and properly. But what happened was, education system was revealed to be inadequate for this day and age. I'll give you an example. In the chat box, I want you to write down, type in 3 things that you feel you want to learn that are really important for you, your business, or your family. Just type in the chat box. Go ahead, just type them in there right now. Okay? Type them all in. Okay? Things that you personally really feel you need to learn. Now, I can't see the chat box because I got my screen share on. But the truth of it is, I'll bet you not one of you put the word calculus in that chat box. Did you? I don't think so. You probably wrote stuff like health, wealth, happiness, cash flow, parenting, communication, peace of mind, spirituality, right? So my question is this: where are you going to learn that? Are you going to go to school to learn that? I don't think so. It doesn't offer it there. So a massive crash in what we've seen as our education system. So when you understand what SIDS is talking about, this golden age, it's going to happen anyway. You're either going to be on that bandwagon or not. So think about this. He said $350 billion a year business. That's just corporate training. That's not the kind of training we're doing here. That's not the kind of training it's in his network. You could take the 350 billion and multiply it times 3. It is the biggest transfer of information and wealth that the world has ever seen. Huge. Now, what else happened? The other thing that's happened, mental health has taken a huge dive. The amount of the substance abuse, alcoholism, domestic violence, civil violence, riots in the streets has gone unprecedentedly high. Unprecedentedly high. As a matter of fact, my friends who work with kids in the education system say it's not the technical education that kids are behind on. He says this, some say this, when you're talking to a level 12 student, you're really talking to a level 9 student. If you're talking to a level 9 student, you're really talking to a level 6 student emotionally, socially, because emotional and social skills got set back and put into reverse over the last several years. And of course, the other thing is this, is in all of our countries, we're facing one of the most precarious financial disasters that any country of the world has ever seen. And we kind of know that. And so let's we'll look at one more trend. If we're to look at global We're looking at global wages. Global wages have basically 0% growth over the last 50 years. 0% growth. However, at the same time, what's happened? Inflation, at least in India right now, what's inflation? Inflation's running 5.4%. Okay? Now, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that in this scenario right here, where is it? There we go. In this scenario right here, people are falling behind, and we don't want you to be one of those casualties. You're in the perfect position. Why do I say that? Because look at this right here. This area right in here, your friends, my friends, you and I are sitting here going, what the heck am I supposed to do? Who do I turn to? I can't go to the school system. I can't go to the university to find out the answer to all this. What's going to happen? What is the solution? All right, everybody take your finger and go like this. I want you to point like this. I want you to point to the solution. That's right. The solution here is you. You are, like I said, you are in the right place at the right time. Why? And why am I showing you this? I'm showing you this is because you are meant to be a teacher. And teachers, the way we talk about them, are leaders. Teachers are leaders. So I want you to point to yourself. I want you to point to yourself. And I want you to go like this. I say, I'm a teacher and I'm a leader. Say it out loud. I'm a teacher and a leader. Okay? You are, or you wouldn't be here. Now, I'm going to get a little out there for some of you, but I'm going to tell you that in over 30 years of working with entrepreneurs and teaching trainers and all that, all over the years, I'm going to tell you at this stage of my career, this is probably the most important thing that needs to happen right now, is for you to show up here and make a commitment to yourself that I'm going to solve this guy's problem. I'm going to solve my neighbor's problem, and I'm going to become very wealthy doing it. I'm going to make him wealthy at the same time. If that makes sense, type in MS in the chat box. There's not one problem on this planet that cannot be solved by people that know how to collaborate, communicate, create. But are we taught that in school? No, we're taught be good, do as you're told. Failure, mistakes lead to failure. Collaboration is cheating. Do you understand what I'm saying? So again, as Sid says, it's not so much what you teach. I'm going to blow away a couple of myths here in a second. It's not so much what you're teaching. It's the way it's taught. It's not so much school is bad. It's the way it's taught is the issue, if that makes sense to you. Okay? So again, you're in the right place at the right time. I started coming to India. First time I came to India was in 2015, working with Success Guyana. Just an amazing experience. I've been coming there every year, sometimes multiple times a year to teach. And I've never seen a community, a culture that was so already attuned to teaching and training. Let me show you why. Because what the school system primarily missed is this right here. This, as we are all human beings, okay? We all get that. We're all human beings in here, right? We're human beings. Now, we are not just, we are physical beings. We know that. We are physical beings. We have a physical body. Touch your body, say, I'm physical. I'm physical. Come on, just humor me. Remember, one thing about teaching, energy wins. You put some physical energy into it, you'll remember more, okay? More on that later, okay? You're physical. You're also mental being. You have thought processes. You think. We're also emotional beings. And we are also spiritual beings. We are not two-dimensional, one-dimensional. We are four-dimensional, 4D human beings. School focuses on what? School basically focuses on this alone and negates the rest of this stuff. When, in the research that I've done and Sid's and I have done about Nalanda was not only a center of learning for the world, but it was one of the first institutions of higher learning in which people came from all over the world in areas of medicine, architecture, spirituality, healing, mathematics, in which, as he rightly said, 2,000 teachers, 10,000 students, unbelievable center of growth and of the advancement of humanity. And of course, invaders came in. It took them 3 invasions to burn the place down. And to make that even worse, when the British came to India in the 1700s and yanked and hijacked what was left of the education system of India, yanked all of this stuff out and just made it a mental experience, said, we're going to learn mathematics and science and we're going to become engineers. Come on, really? And so in a video that Sid sent to me lately, it talked about the spirit of Nalanda is smoldering beneath the surface. All those hundreds of thousands of books burnt, but the spirit is still alive. And so when I went to Sid, I talked to Sarin, the founder of Success Gyan, in 2020, when everything locked down, I had a feeling about something. See, Blair Singer Training Academy is about creating the best teachers, leaders, and facilitators in the world. Why? Because the world needs them. Because most of the problems you see in the world today that I outlined back in that prior slide have to do, if people knew how to cooperate, communicate, to be physical, mental, emotional, spiritual beings, we wouldn't have most of these problems. I mean, if you agree with that, type A or agree in the chat box. So the spirit of Nalanda lives very, very strongly. It lives in you, or you wouldn't be here. Like I said, it sounds a little bit out there, but I know over all these years, the people that show up for any program that I teach, whether it's on entrepreneurship, sales, team development, something in common with all of them is inside of you, there's a gene that says, I want to teach. I am meant to be a teacher. If that makes sense, type in MS in the chat box. And not any kind of teacher, because the teachers of Nalanda had this one thing all in common as I studied it. Okay? These were people, these professors were of high intent, high moral, ethical, spiritual intent. What does that mean? That means that they had a mission. A mission. What do you mean a mission? Well, the mission was to improve the quality of life for everybody in the world. Everybody in the world. Think about that as a concept today. A mission for us all to get better through debate, through education. Nalanda operated off of a set of high moral values. If I can write it here. Which is the core of who we are. On a very complete code of honor, which is a set of rules. Which is a set of rules. And around all of this, each of you, and if we work together, we're going to work on this. And each of you, each individual, have your own message. What's the message? Messages like, never give up. It's a simple message. Messages like, I know more than I think I know, or you know more than you think you know. Trust yourself. Believe in yourself. As a matter of fact, everybody just say this out loud. Just put your hand on your chest and just say, I trust myself. Say it out loud. Just say it. I know it's weird. Just do it, okay? I trust myself. Say, I believe in myself. I got this. Look, I'm going to tell you that you're in the right place at the right time for a reason. Because there's something important for you. There's something important for you to deliver. You have important knowledge and experience to share with the world. You have a unique message to deliver to the world. And these things that I'm showing you are the difference between a YouTube creator and a true teacher leader. Somebody that inspires people. Somebody that helps people get from point A to point B. So I'm going to go through a couple of myths. If this makes sense, type in MS in the chat box, by the way. Now, I'm going to go through a couple of myths here that people have about this business. Because I don't want these myths to stop you, okay? Here we go. Okay. A couple of myths about this business. Whoops. There we go. Myth number one. I don't have enough content. Okay. Right? Okay. So I don't have enough content. I'm new in this. I haven't done it. I don't have enough content. There's all this content out there. Here's the truth. The truth is it takes three things to be successful as a teacher, trainer, and a leader. I've been very blessed over the years to work with Buddhist monks in one of the largest Buddhist temples in the world, in Thailand. And I've been able to sit with the senior monk several times. And they described to me that a great teacher over the thousands of years since Buddha, three criteria. Number one is what you're teaching relevant to your audience? In other words, is it something they can use? Very simple. Okay, that's common sense. But that's not as important as they said is criteria number two. Criteria number two is not what you're teaching, but this is what they said. It's the way you teach it. How do you teach? You just blah, 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 blah. Or is it done interactively? Is it done with games? Is it done with interest? Is it done in a way that intrinsically inspires people? What do I mean by intrinsically? In other words, if a person is going to go from point A to point B, they're going to face resistance. I'll talk about this later. And the only way they're going to go past the current behavior is if something is inspiring in them and you can't inspire it. They have to do it. Okay? So it's the way you teach. Number three, most important of all, is who you are as a person. How you show up as a person is the most important. So I know a few things about you. Is it okay if I ask you? A few things I do know about you. Let me see, type in the chat box whether this is true for you. How many of you sometimes think that you think too much? Type in me. Yeah, how many of you think that at some level that could be a curse, that you think too much, you overthink things? Okay, see, how did I know that? See, because you thought it was a curse. I'm going to tell you it's a gift. Not everybody's like that, you know. Some people aren't thinking at all. How many of you have ever met somebody that was not even thinking at all, right? Okay. So I'm going to tell you something. This is why I know you're in the right place. I'm going to suspect that you sometimes think that you think too much and that's a problem. Well, most people aren't thinking at all. Remember what I said. Number one is awareness, is being able to see, sense other things that other people don't see or sense, or understand the consequences of actions 2 steps ahead of time. How many of you, when you were younger, maybe thought you were a little weird? You know, you could see or feel things that other people couldn't see or feel. Type in me in the chat box if that was you. Yeah. It's a gift. It's a gift. It's a gift of being a great teacher and a great leader. Okay? How many of you, let me ask you another question. How many of you, now tell the truth. Tell the truth. Don't lie to me, okay? How many of you, when someone else gets a win, you actually get really happy and you get somewhat inflated as a result of somebody else getting a win? Type in me. Yeah. Is that, yeah, 100%. Yeah, good, excellent, right? Do you know that most people are not like that? Most people get resentful. Most people get cynical. They want to poke holes in that balloon, but not you. Say, not me. That's why I'm saying is that the third criteria, and oh, one more question. How many of you have ever made a couple of big mistakes in your life? Yes? Okay. How many of you have made more than one? Oh, do you think that that's important knowledge you could share with somebody else to keep them from falling into the same trap that you fell into? Do you think that's valuable? Yes or no? Absolutely. So you have these, I know that you have these criteria to do this. Okay? I know you have these criteria to do this. Now, so that's why I'm saying it. And again, it's about your energy. It's not so much about your content and all that other stuff. Okay? So let's go back to the other myths. Got 2 more myths to share with you. And I'll turn it back over to Sid's here in a second. Okay? Okay. Where are we? Right here. Okay. Don't have enough content. Myth number 2. This is a good one. I don't have enough charisma. People I'm not that charismatic. Okay, let's blow this one away. You don't need charisma for this. I don't even know what charisma is. I think charisma, by definition, is people instinctively believe you and are willing to follow you. And what beyond that, I have no idea. Okay, so what's the truth? Get this through your head right now. Those of you that have this imposter syndrome, I'm not good enough, whatever. The truth is, what we teach you to be a world-class trainer, it's a conversation, not a performance. You're not performing. This is not a scripted deal. This is about you being real, coming from your heart and from your own experience. I show you how to put it together so that it works, but it's a conversation. How many people feel more comfortable with a conversation? Type in me in the chat box. Okay, myth number 3. I'm not blank enough. I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not successful enough. I'm not rich enough. I'm too young, too old, too fat, too ugly, too skinny, whatever. Okay? All of that stuff. Okay? The truth is, you don't need to be the best at this stuff. You need to be the best student. Let me show you what I'm talking about here real quick. Let me show you what I'm talking about here. So again, this is about being the best student, not about being the number one real estate developer in the world, or being the richest guy on the planet, or if you're doing parenting, to be the best parent in the world. That's not it at all. Okay? So take a look here. Let's say this right here is you. Okay, this is you. Okay, and let's say you're teaching healing. Okay, healing. Okay, so you're teaching healing of some sort. Okay, so over here, let's say this is Deepak Chopra or Louise Hay or some of these other people, big names, Deepak Chopra, okay? Or if you're teaching real estate, this is Robert Kiyosaki or Donald Trump or all these guys over here, okay? Now, you're going to say, well, I'm not as good as those guys. Oh, of course you're not. Neither am I. But take a look at this. There's all these people over here. All these people. They're just getting started, that are not even aware yet of what they don't know. So over here, you're the student. Over here, you're the teacher. Now, my question to all of you is this. Here is market A. Here is market B. I'm going to tell you that these guys are probably not going to be coming to your programs, okay? Maybe, but not right now. But which market is bigger, A or B? Type in the chat box. Yes, of course, A is the much bigger market. And why does that work? Because you're passionate about it, because you're still learning it, okay? You're still in the hunt. It's something that you want to learn as well. When Robert Kiyosaki and I started in the beginning, we were friends. Before we got into this training business, is that we figured we wanted to be successful entrepreneurs. We were terrible. We barely knew how to sell. And so we started doing these little programs, like 1-hour programs, guest talks for free with people, because we just wanted to get in there and teach people what we were learning from our mentors and our coaches. And that's how it all began. You know, Sid's also said something. He said about, there's entrepreneurs, there are creators, there's influencers. And I'm going to say this, that if you're a professional, or you're in business, or you have a business, you will probably, if you're just beginning, you probably make one of the best trainers of all. Why? Because you're in it. You're in the hunt. You can teach what most teachers can't teach. You can teach what it's like to get knocked down and have to stand up again when you're disappointed, betrayed, how to have the resilience, which is not taught in school at all. Okay, I could go on and on about all that. So again, at this point in history, you are in the right place at the right time. And all you need to do, you don't need to be the best. You just need to be the best student of what it is you're trying to learn and teach it to other people. If that makes sense, type in MS in the chat box. Okay? How many are excited? How many say, I got this? Type in IGT, I got this. All right, very good. So I'll give it back to you, Sids. But that, I just wanted to say, I think that, it's people need to understand that the traditional image of what it takes to be a world-class leader, that's old school. That's 25, 50-year-old thinking. The people that are very, very real, and again, you got to learn how to package that a little bit, but that are very, very real and very sincere, you will teach lessons that people were not expecting to learn, and those are the lessons that change a person's life. Back to you.
Thank you so much, Blair. Thank you all for inspired in the chat box. If you're inspired by Blair, thank you, Blair, for setting that as a foundation.